This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, a Dunedin bar is offering a special reward if patrons sign up to donate blood at the New Zealand Blood Service. Many of the pillars at Oamaru's historic wharf are undergoing much needed repairs. And a special conservation project south of Ashburton has a new addition. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. A Dunedin bar is taking the unusual step of promoting blood donation to its patrons. The management of Zanzibar and George Street says if 100 people sign up to a New Zealand Blood Service recruitment drive, it will reward them with a big surprise.
Less than 4% of people in New Zealand donate blood.
Hearing that only 3.7% of New Zealand's donating, a number of my customers in the bar actually donate as well, so it ended up being something that had been a recent conversation and just sort of ended up being a perfect storm with Rugby World Cup coming up as well. It's an odd statistic for a proprietor of a bar to pull out, but it's one of the reasons Zanzibar's owner Shane Simpson has decided to offer patrons a challenge. We don't have a TV in the bar, but we do have a few people asking us if we're going to be showing the rugby, and that's when sort of something clicked in my head and I thought to myself, well, let's try to get 100 people signed up to the reserves, and if they do, we'll get a TV in and show the World Cup. He says a few people have already joined Team Red on Zanzibar's bench, part of the New Zealand Blood Service's current campaign, Join the Bench, fronted by Sir Graham Henry.
And the whole idea of this is to encourage everybody to feel that they could be involved and to sign up and be part of this.
Lynn Rodecker says as blood and blood products are used in emergency situations on very sick people, there's strict criteria on who can donate.
Well, I think a lot of people are familiar with what we call mad cow disease. So this is really, if you lived in England and France and Republic of Ireland from 1980s to 1996, then unfortunately you are excluded. We still haven't found a test for this at this stage.
There's also an age limit. Only people between 16 and 66 years of age can donate blood, and Rodecker says just because you signed up doesn't mean you'll be called straight away. It means, like in football, you're on the reserves bench. Shane Simpson heard about the campaign after donating blood, and having purchased this bar recently, thought he could use Zanzibar's social media presence to inspire others. I could use that new social media platform to actually get more people to donate blood as well. Join the Bench has a target of 100,000 people, and Simpson hopes to have at least 100 people sign up at the bar before the Rugby World Cup begins, so he'll install a TV before the first game kicks off. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Central Otago was buffeted by strong southwesterly winds yesterday, closing ski fields, fanning fires, knocking down trees and power lines, and freeing a houseboat from its moorings on Lake Wanaka. The houseboat Lady Pembroke was safely towed back to its moorings after winds blew the vessel 100 metres down the lake and up against a beach. Winds whipped up waves on the lake and dust on the metalled roads in the region. The strongest recorded wind gust in Central Otago was 87 kilometres per hour at Alexandra Airport around noon. Wanaka recorded a gust of 63 kilometres per hour. The strongest reported wind gust for the entire South Island was 115 kilometres per hour in Fiordland. The historic Holmes Wharf in Oamaru is undergoing repairs, thanks to a visiting maritime construction crew. The much-needed work comes after last year's discovery that 40 of the wharf's old wooden piles had deteriorated.
Working on the Holmes Wharf in Oamaru with hydraulically driven underwater equipment. A maritime construction crew are stabilising the severely deteriorated wooden piles on the wharf, which is over 100 years old. Last year, the Waitaki District Council had to halt their project to redeck the wharf when they found 40 of the wooden piles were more than 75% deteriorated. Bay's underwater services from Bluff have begun work to fix steel casings around the piles, with plans to start pouring cement to encase the piles on Monday. It's expected they'll be able to stabilise about 10 piles a week. Money for the remedial work is coming out of the $900,000 budget for the council's redecking project. And once fully restored, it's planned to reinstate vehicle access along the wharf. In Oamaru, the South Today.
A series of positive methamphetamine tests among Port Otago workers operating heavy machinery may trigger a crackdown from the company. 5 people have tested positive for the use of the drug at the port in the last 3 months. Chief Executive Kevin Winders says each case resulted in a process through its drug policy, involving aspects of rehabilitation and mediation. However, all of the staff have been dismissed as some worked on 60-ton straddle cranes. Winders says taking a Class A drug is clearly a case of serious misconduct. All of the company's 325 employees can be randomly tested, but infringements tended to occur at the container area at Port Chalmers, where about 150 people work. A new information sign was unveiled at a special conservation project south of Ashburton. Located 13 kilometres south of Ashburton, the Harris Scientific Reserve features one of the last remnants of the original vegetation in the region.
Don't be deceived by the unimpressive appearance of this remnant of native scrub. About 40 people turned out on Sunday for the unveiling of a sign explaining why this site is historically and ecologically important. This little reserve south of Ashburton is unique in that the original farmers, Arthur and Shirley Harris, never ploughed or harrowed this patch of land, allowing the native plants to remain.
Arthur and Shirley were a young couple and wanting to get on in the world, and it seemed ideal to clear this land. But absolutely fortuitously, they weren't cropping, they were sheep farmers. And they saved this area that you can walk through later of Kanuka as a very useful lambing paddock.
Now named the Harris Scientific Reserve, the block was previously lightly grazed by sheep, but it still looks very much like huge tracts of the South Island did before European settlement. Forest and Bird, along with other volunteers, have helped restore the area, with more native Kanuka, tussock and matagauri from the same locality.
The initial planting was taken from seedlings along the roadside and planted inside the covenant.
The council bought the reserve and adjoining land from the farming couple when they retired, and now it's managed by the Ashburton Community Conservation Trust. Along the way, it's dodged being turned into a rubbish tip.
The district council bought the land with a view of creating a refuse centre. But of course there were issues with free draining soils, as we know exactly they are.
Smith says a huge number of people have helped restore the dryland reserve over the years and are still getting assistance on a regular basis.
Just the other day we had children from intermediate school planting, and in a couple of years ago we had the Motorhome Association for their Beautifying New Zealand Week. They did planting with us. So it's a really good community, a result of community activity and working together.
There's plans to put more walking tracks and signs around the reserve in the future. In Ashburton, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, at least 40 North Otago meat workers face an uncertain future, and we have another interview with a mayoral candidate, so see you after the break.
At Alex Campbell Menswear, we bring you the best value. We have bought a massive selection of moleskins, and we're passing on the savings to you. Buy one pair, save $25. Buy two, save $60, and we've got a great deal on our knitwear. Look at it all, 25% off all our knitwear. And to go with the knitwear, what about a nice warm shirt? These are 25% off too. And while we're doing the 25% off, what about on the jackets? 25% off them as well.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So check us out for massive savings this winter.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
When it's time to say goodbye to your pet, Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489-2274. If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chin.
Welcome back. At least 40 North Otago meat workers at Oamaru Meats Limited are facing an uncertain future after the company shut down almost all processing from today. The closure follows the suspension of the company's access into China for its beef products. OML Director Richard Thorpe says the shutdown is a temporary break in production, but wouldn't provide any detail as to how long the plant would be closed. It's not known if staff will be paid during this shutdown. Thorpe says the company has informed suppliers and is working with the New Zealand and Chinese regulators to address their concerns. Several staff approached by the Otago Daily Times yesterday said they're not allowed to speak to the media. With Dunedin's Mayor Dave Cull stepping down after serving the city for 3 terms, 14 hopefuls are vying to be elected for the role. In tonight's Bulletin, Otago Access radio host Ian Telfer interviews candidate Finn Campbell as to why he wants to be mayor and where the chains of office.
A volunteer with a Masters in Political Studies, deeply involved in climate change politics with Generation Zero, Finn Campbell. Welcome, Finn.
Hello.
Hey, let's hit this climate change thing. This has been called the climate change election by a few of the candidates that came in before you. Do you think it is? Finn, do you want to start?
I don't know. Is it the climate? I don't think this is an election that's a referendum on climate change at all, really. It's kind of a referendum on whether the city does serious action on climate change, though. So I think the climate change part is already settled. It's just more like, can we convince people who don't want to change their lifestyles to actually do something to support the next generation?
So how do you see it? You've been an activist, right? Generation Zero and so on.
Biggest problems.
Where do you think Dunedin is at?
15 years behind schedule.
On what?
Everything. Like urban renewal, so there's no public infrastructure to support alternative options to driving. So cars are the main way we get around Dunedin. That's not cool. That's not helpful if you can't access a car or realise that cars are really expensive and you'd rather get around for free. You look around and say, hang on a minute, everything here is built for the car or to service the car, and that's really short-sighted, and it's going to mean that Dunedin is going to really struggle with growth for the next 10, 15 years as we realise there's no more space to put car
And
parks.
we are seeing that now, aren't we? Because we're getting complaints about the roads, we're getting complaints about parking.
Yeah, I look at it, and every candidate I say there's the parking problems, and I've said I've submitted on almost every single urban design project in the last 4 years, and almost every single time car parking has stayed the same. So there's been no mass exodus of car parks in Dunedin. Politicians just want to give it out as easy votes because they'll give more parking.
Is that a climate change issue really, or is that actually a growth issue?
It is definitely a climate change issue because cars are not going to be a solution for the future. Let's say we have electric vehicles and they're going to be a smart answer. If we did a one-to-one conversion of our petrol and diesel fleets to electric vehicles, we might as well let farmers do nothing on climate change because the cost of, the CO2 cost of converting those cars and making those electric vehicles will completely blow our carbon budgets.
Just that.
Yeah.
So the life cycle of the whole car.
The life cycle of the whole car, if you did a one-to-one conversion, electrics would, completely blow our carbon budget.
All right. When you say we're 15 years behind, though, I mean, on what timetable?
On one where we could actually make short-term steps, be a bit lazy about it, not worry about it, be like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a little bit here, a little bit there. Well, our lifestyles might change a little bit, but 20 years down the track, we've built something awesome, and we don't have to worry about it too much. We're at the point now where it's like, if we don't do anything, my generation's actually going to get shafted.
And is that where the climate change emergency language comes from?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just...
You feel that it's suddenly in our faces now?
It's like, Dunedin City Council, New Zealand, the whole world has left the assignment to the night before. And you're not going to create any sort of fair, reasonable change in that time because, no point rushing it.
And we'll bring you more interviews with the various candidates over the next 5 weeks. You can also watch the full 45-minute interview on odt.co.nz. And after the break on the South today, the University of Otago announces the recipient of the prestigious 2019 Distinguished Research Medal. And we have the weekend's weather for you, so stay with us.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell menswear, it fits.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. For a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chin.
When it's time to say goodbye to your pet, Heaven Sent Pet Cremations are here to help you through this difficult experience. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today for their care and guidance. Phone 489-2274. If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
Thanks for staying with us. University of Otago Professor Richie Poulton has been awarded the prestigious 2019 Distinguished Research Medal by the university. Professor Poulton's career at Otago began with undergraduate study in 1981 and he's become recognised for his leadership of the Dunedin study over the past 25 years. He's no stranger to accolades as he was made Companion of the Order of Merit in 2017 for services to health research and science. When Professor Poulton isn't working on the longitudinal study, he works part-time as Chief Science Advisor to the Ministry of Social Development. His research and expertise has been the subject of hundreds of journal articles and has attracted more than 70,000 citations. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. Dunedin Zanzibar is offering a special reward if patrons sign up to donate blood with the New Zealand Blood Service ahead of the Rugby World Cup. Many of the pillars at Oamaru's historic wharf are undergoing much needed repairs thanks to a visiting construction crew. And a special conservation project south of Ashburton has a new addition, a huge sign informing people of the project's finer points. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome Hayden Meikle, what have you got for us in tomorrow's paper?
Good evening, Mel. Well, it's a Saturday, so obviously that means we've got everything pretty much from front to back. We start with a very serious issue, and that issue is meth. We talked to the Clutha Mayor about the growing scourge of meth in Balclutha. They're actually going to the extent of having some public meetings coming up soon to talk about meth, to talk about the issue, to talk about the problems that it's causing. So that's a developing story. We're obviously hoping to speak to the police also about that and social workers to see what effect it's having. But so that should be an interesting and perhaps concerning read, because I'm sure Balclutha is not the only place struggling with it.
Yeah.
And we've got a lovely photo of some tradies and apprentices. They're gearing up to build a climate-safe house, it's called, during the big Home and Living show, which of course is at Forsyth Bar Stadium in November. Great photo. We've got the much-awaited Dunedin City Council scorecard. So our two Our two fine council reporters have assessed and rated all of our Dunedin City councillors on their
That will
performances.
make interesting reading.
Very interesting reading. I suspect it'll be the most read thing in tomorrow's paper. Two very fine, very fair reporters they are too, and they are going through every councillor and how they've performed. So that'll be a cracking read. Great news for Shannon Frizzell, the Highlanders loose forward. He's been called into the All Blacks for the Rugby World Cup. I think he's literally flying out tonight. And speaking of which, we've got the World Cup wall chart. So everybody always wants to pull out the wall chart for a big tournament like the Rugby World Cup. That's in tomorrow's paper. It's huge. It's a whole page. Pull it out, put it up on your wall, pencil it in as the All Blacks, no doubt, go on to win their third World Cup in a row. So that'll be there. We've got Mike Houlihan's political column. We've got David Lockeray's column. There is literally something for everybody in tomorrow's paper. It should be a good one.
Thank you. So you can catch all of that in tomorrow's ODT. And now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with today's southern view, a casual wander across the Otago Museum lawn. Looking at the situation, a changeable weekend ahead as a weak trough of low pressure brings some cloud and rain to western areas, but the east remains mostly fine. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport can expect showers and 13 degrees. Across to the northeast, where Nelson and Blenheim are also due for a wet day and 13 degrees. Moving down to Canterbury, Kaikoura expect a wet day and 11 degrees. Christchurch and Ashburton, you're also both wet with 9-degree highs, so it's good weather for ducks. Looking at the southern towns, expect moderate northwesterlies and cloud increasing across this region. The Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore all aim for 12 degrees. Travelling westward to central Otago, you should plan for light northwesterlies and some cloud across the region. Queenstown heads for 10, expect 11 in Wanaka and a top temperature of 12 for Alexandra. Te Anau, you're set for moderate northwesterlies, rain later and 11 degrees. Looking at the northern towns along the coast, Timaru and Oamaru, you should plan for light winds, some cloud and 11-degree highs for you both. Further inland, Twizel and Marama are set for light northwesterly, some high cloud, and you'll both just reach 12 degrees. In Dunedin, becoming fine tonight with light northeasterlies and an overnight low of 6. Fine and mostly sunny tomorrow with breezy northeast winds and cool temperatures, heading for a high of 10 and a low of 4. High cloud increasing on Sunday with milder northerlies, a high of 13 and a low of 8. And finally, moving to Invercargill, fine tonight with an overnight low of 7. Long sunny periods and some cloud tomorrow with cool westerlies. Cloud increasing later on with some rain as well. A high of 12 and a low of 8. And it's cloudy on Sunday with some showers and moderate southwesterlies. A high of 11 and a low of 8. And that's all from the South Today team for this Friday and in fact for the week. For the latest news from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Have a great evening and a safe and happy weekend. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.